Hello, everybody. My name is Richard Vigorelli. This is Vigorelli Institute. I'll talk to you about another show I used to watch. Okay. This one was on Sci-Fi Channel, and it starred the guy who was your everyman. Okay. He was actually a federal marshal. And basically that means his jurisdiction is the entire U.S. So he was all over the place. Okay, he had his daughter, kind of cute, little blonde, and she's rebellious because daddy issues. Get to that. And she used to get into trouble, so she runs away from home one day, and he has to go pick her up and drive her back. Well, they get detoured into this itty bitty dinky town somewhere in Oregon, right in the southern part of the Cascades. Okay? I think Cascades go that far. Anyway. Her mom is kind of uncaring, so the dad has to do it. Okay? So what happens is they get detoured into this. He really doesn't want to. He's kind of a workman. Okay? And they start to notice very, very strange things going on in the town. Like, everybody there is, like, super freaking smart. And that doesn't make sense, okay? So their car's broken down, and it gets pulled into this garage, and the guy that's running it, he's basically everywhere, and he's always wearing a different name tag as to what he does and all this, but he's always in overalls. Yeah, and this guy's, like, super freaking smart. So he starts paying attention, and he realizes that things are not as they seem. No kidding. The town is actually a science colony. Okay? For people that want to work on fringe projects, stuff that's dangerous. Okay? There's a company there called Global Dynamics, or GD for short. Yeah. Anyway. It's run by a guy whose name is Stark, and he's really tall, kind of handsome, chiseled, classic physique, kind of a douche. And he is dating this super hot, smart chick. Okay, named Allison. Okay. Well, the other guy and him, they clash. They don't like each other, and well, because of what's going on, the sheriff of the town dies. He's this old fat guy. Okay. No, he doesn't die. He just loses his legs and retires. So our everyman gets named as the sheriff. Now, how a sheriff works under federal law, a sheriff is an elected official, not an appointed official. I don't care where you are. You actually do have to run for it. Okay. That being said, if you're running unopposed, guess what? Job's yours, booby. Okay. Now, he's got a deputy that really wanted to be sheriff, and she's, this super hot Marine chick who's also relatively smart, also hetero. Anybody that knows anything about Marines, suspicion. Okay, so what show am I talking about? It's called Eureka. Okay, so named for what Archimedes yelled out when he figured out submersion volume. Okay, they even have Archimedes in a bath in the center of town. That's their town monument. Okay, which makes logical sense, and I kind of like the idea too. Not enough towns with monuments anymore. What I'm talking about. Anyway, every single week is something new. Now, there's something resembling an overarching plot in each one of the seasons. Kinda. They stretch stuff out so freaking much, and the show was unbelievably formulaic. Every single show would start out with the smart guy has idea. Smart guy comes up with experiment to disprove idea, to prove idea, or to make idea and technology work. Okay, they got stuff in there from genetic engineering to quantum mechanics to aerospace, to chemical warfare, all kinds of stuff. Now, you've got Dangerous Project over here and Dangerous Project over here. They meet, bad thing happen. Okay? Like, they've got this one episode where they've got this girl, and she's gorgeous, okay? Perfect body, long, flowing, curly, brown hair, breathtaking woman, okay? She comes up with a way to condense water, okay? She can condense it, I think, to 1/10 of its normal volume. That way, they can load it onto spacecraft and save room. How do you account for the physical mass? Yeah. So she's got like a 50-gallon drum inside of something like this. Yeah, okay. And she's just like spraying it all over herself. Now, the reason why that's important is because in that episode, people were drowning. There's reasons. She turned out to be a red herring. The writing of the show, first season was kind of neat. Okay. Then the writer's strike happened. And they had to go into clip shows until they could get other stuff. And then it was like, okay, what crazy thing can we do this week? Okay. And then Will Wheaton started making regular appearances on the show, and well, Will Wheaton's Will Wheaton. Shut up, Wesley. Okay. So this came out at a time right before the whole woke revolution really picked up steam. So Allison, after Stark dies in an accident, she's now single because they were actually married, kind of, sort of ish, and she's got a superpowered autistic son, because of course she does, and she can do anything and everything. And she's like super duper smart and all of this, but she has duties, so she's running the place, and she don't need no man. Okay, yeah, boss babe. Also, other boss babe is Deputy Lupo. Name is Josephine, goes by Joe, and she is like desperate to be sheriff, and she's trying to undermine our everyman. I can't remember his name right now. It's something common. Anyway. Colin, what's his name? And he's like, he's not stupid, but he's way too freaking gentle, as far as I'm concerned. And she can, like, do anything and everything that he can do, but better. Yeah. All the guys in the show are nerdy, smarmy, losers. Okay. And even those with like a modicum of masculinity are kind of sort of sidelined, and they always step back and let them take it. Okay. By the way, you can watch this on, it's either Prime or Netflix or Freevee, I forget. Okay, if you want to check it out. Okay. Now, the first season writing was actually pretty balanced, and then it just kind of degraded from there. Okay, and that brings me to another show that actually shared the same universe, we come to find out, I think, season 4. Okay, a show called Warehouse 13. Okay. Now, that one is basically magic meets quantum tech. That's a video in itself. Okay. But it turns out that Eureka makes the purple goo that keeps the artifacts from freaking out. And honestly, there were several times in the show where the military comes in and tries to shut the town down because, these people keep trying to end the world. Okay? Apparently. And at the end of the show, it does manage to tie itself back in, so they did have an anchor point. Okay? Now, his daughter, whose name is Zoe, she turns out to actually be super smart, and she was rebelling because the people in school were too dumb. And she just blossoms at school. Then she takes off and goes to become a doctor or something and comes back and stuff. Because that makes total sense. Yeah. Even though when they started, she was like average. They took an IQ test and she's like a super freaking genius. Her dad's got a 111 IQ. Everybody's making fun of him because he's dumb. Okay, well, here's the thing with IQ, darling. There's 4 separate kinds of intelligence. Okay, you've got procedural intelligence, you've got reasoning intelligence, you've got spatial intelligence, you've got social intelligence. Okay, those are the big ones. By the way, most nerds lack in social. Okay, and just because you're really good at numbers does not inherently mean you're not creative. Okay, for Einstein to come up with a theory of relativity, he had to be creative. He had to be able to think outside the box. That's what creativity is. Okay, if all you can do is just learn things, regurgitate things, you're not smart, you're a parrot. That's all you are. Okay, you just don't have feathers. Which, by the way, most of these people in this town, that's all they were. They were just super duper smart in that they could pass a test. Okay, passing a test doesn't make you smart. It just means you allegedly know the material and have memorized it. Okay, doesn't actually mean anything. All right. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay. So it highlights one of the downfalls of writing. Okay, now just because you're working on what would be a cheap show for basic cable or network or anything like that does not mean your writing should be subpar. Just because you are working on a kid show does not mean your writing should be subpar. Okay, it should still be good. Okay, there needs to be stakes. Your characters need to have obvious motivations that remain consistent, especially if you're writing a series. They need to have certain character flaws that are consistent throughout the series. Okay, nobody is perfect. Okay, when they are, there's no reason to tell the story. We already know what's going to happen. I get it. Okay, a good character should reflect real people. Okay, I've got character flaws. Okay, I clearly have some inborn narcissism. Okay, I can't be a good medical professional and be absolutely humble. Okay, the Buddha would be a terrible doctor. I hate to tell you. Okay, because he has absolutely no stake in figuring it out. He just tell you, look, you're going to die soon. Just accept it. Okay, accept that this disease is part of your karma. Okay, never mind curing it. You'll either die or you won't, and we'll go from there, dude. Okay. When it comes to writing, coming up with your characters, okay, characters tell the story. Okay, the setting needs to be consistent. Motivations of the setting needs to be consistent, especially if you're working with a series. If something major happens, like, say half the town gets wiped out, that needs to be there. Okay, we can't just come back and everything's hunky-dory, how's things going? No, when stuff happens, stuff happens. Okay, no matter what, and it's going to linger for a process of time, and that needs to be reflected. Okay, it adds realism to it. Now, I'm not saying that somebody needs to be that engrossed in what is going on. Okay, and they need to obsess over something that happened 3, 4, 5 episodes ago, or even last season. But if that event influences a future event, even in a different season, maybe 2 seasons down the road, it needs to be that. Okay? If you have a character that would have been there, okay, one of 2 things has to happen. You either need to change the story, you need to get rid of the story, or you need to replace the role of the character with another character that has come in. And they can't just show up. Okay? That's what we call creature feature of the week. Okay? And Syfy's notorious for this. We see it in Flash Gordon, which by the way is really old. We see it in Star Trek. Star Trek, it's called Alien of the Week. Okay? Where they show up at this planet and there's this weird funky looking alien. They got these weird ideas and see how strange that is. And this is why they're wrong and we're right and we'll fix it for them. Okay? Yeah. With a show like Eureka, it was Strange Thing of the Week. Okay? I can't wait to see what shenanigans the scientists come up with this week. Okay? We need to do this. And it reeks of bad writing. Okay? Is all I'm saying. So, when you're drafting your stories, when you're drafting your scripts, okay, your books, your comics, and so forth, okay, I do advise watching these garbage shows because you learn what not to do, okay? Yes, there was lots of money behind this. Yes, it was produced. Yes, it gained fame, and you can buy this for the monies, okay? And people gained renown and so forth with this, however it was. Will Wheaton. Anyway, it doesn't make it good. Okay? And this even goes for stuff that is classic. Okay? There's plenty of stuff out there that's pure garbage. Okay? Conan, for instance, but that's another video. Okay? So what happens is you look at this and you say, okay, I see what they did. I see where they could have fixed that. Okay? And if you want, this is where stuff like fan fiction comes into play. You do it better. I think, oh, you can do it better? Yeah, I can do it better. See? Okay? Not all fan fiction is bad. Bad fan fiction is bad fan fiction. Good fan fiction is something else entirely. Okay? What are some examples of good fan fiction? Honestly, half of comics. Okay? DC and Marvel, the two greats, which are now almost out, as of the recording of this. If you're watching in the future, they might be dead and gone by now. They were fan fictions of each other. Deathstroke and Deadpool were created at the exact same time. I'm not sure which one came first. Okay, I think Deathstroke came first, and then Deadpool's a parody of it. Okay. There's so many. Okay. That one would come up with a character and the other one would come up with a similar character that would be a play off of the other character. And they would just use that. And both grew. They grew their universes, they grew their popularity, and people owned both. Okay? Some people went hard DC, others went hard Marvel, other people had both. Okay? I did. Okay? I like both universes. And it depends on what story we're talking about as to which one I'm going to go with. Okay? Not all going to be winners. Okay? So as you're drafting your stuff, okay, take the story. Okay? For example, let's go with Disney Wars. Not Star Wars. Fan fiction. Okay? And you take what they did, you keep it, but you make it good. Okay? Instead of making a character a Mary Sue or a Gary Stu, give them some flaws. Okay? Give them proper motivations. Give stakes to the story. Okay? Give interactions that are meaningful. Okay? What? You don't think a giant planet-sized death ray thing is stakes? No, because it's absurd. Even for that universe. Okay? Well, you're just... No, listen to me. Okay? It's been done. We don't need to do it again. Okay? you can have high stakes without all the big flashy stuff. Okay? Trust me on that. Okay? The stakes need to be believable within universe, and you also need to set limits of what can and cannot happen. Okay? And I do recommend against timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, hand-waving, blah, 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 techno-babble. Okay? Or anything else. If something happens and somebody says something about it and your explanation is otherwise the plot doesn't happen, you screwed up. Okay? That's the issue. Okay? So don't dive in. And it should not be just because. Okay? If something happens and somebody can basically say because a wizard did it, you screwed up. Okay? Limits must exist in your writing. Okay? And that's one of the major things that drove me nuts about Eureka. There weren't any limits. Because science and quantum. Okay? And I stuttered that way because that's the way the writers often are that write this stuff. Okay? We need something weird and wild to happen, otherwise people won't watch the show, so we'll just call it quantum mechanics because we don't know what that is. It's magic. Okay? And you just go from there. So, enough of my soapboxing about this. I'm going to move on. If you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Links in the description for my websites. I did on Vim and Vigorelli recently redo the merchandise. So go ahead and check that out. Feel free to follow me on Twitter. Link in the description as well. And if you want to get in touch with me directly, you can. If you're not a weirdo, I'm happy to talk with you. Okay? Also, no English. Kind of a thing for me. Okay? I understand it might be a second or third language for you. Please speak coherently. Please. Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Okay? I'll be back later with something else. You take care. Bye-bye.